What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, newly crowned, unified, lightweight, undefeated Australian star boxer George Kambosos Jr. 20 wins, no losses, no draw, 10 wins by way of knockout. George Kambosos Jr. is 28 years of age, 5'9", with a 69-inch arm reach. With that said, George Kambosos Jr. is going into a highly anticipated undisputed showdown with undefeated WBC lightweight world champion superstar boxer Devin the Dream Haney. Okay, Devin Haney is 27 wins, no losses, no draw, 15 wins by way of knockout. He is 23 years of age, 5'9", with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, as the build-up and the saga leading up into this fight being officially announced between the two, as George Kambosos Jr. was attempting to maneuver around the undisputed showdown with Devin Haney, George Kambosos Jr., he had his sights set on facing off against two-time Olympic gold medalist, three-division world champion, Ukrainian superstar boxer, who was the former unified lightweight world champion in Vasil High-Tech Lomachenko. And because the fans started to call for this fight with Devin Haney and George Kambosos Jr. for undisputed, official undisputed, okay, things started to get chippy, okay? George Kambosos Jr., things started to be revealed, okay? The language that George Kambosos Jr. used is starting to be sandpaper to many people coming out of his mouth, okay? Many people cringe at the words that he's using to describe Devin Haney, like boy, and many other things. But one thing that came out was George Kambosos Jr.'s wife, Instagram post that she put up, and she was sunbathing, okay, in the sun, getting a tan, and George Kambosos Jr. was taking a picture, and his wife described herself getting a tan as, I'm out in the sun getting the N-word, with my man, using the N-word, right? To describe getting dark, okay, in the sun, okay? And that didn't go over well. And so many people have questioned, again, the verbiage of George Kambosos Jr. He calls Devin Haney boy, do what you say, boy, things of that nature. And yesterday, Devin Haney, he addressed the boy comments, and Devin Haney said, address me as a man as such, and respect me. I'm going to make you respect me June 4th in the United States, June 5th in Australia, when we face off again for undisputed, okay? So the comments made by George Kambosos Jr. is not going over very well. The language he's using and the comments made by his wife. So George Kambosos Jr. finally responds to these comments, as many people feel like George Kambosos Jr. Is not in favor of a certain group of people. So with that said, George Kambosos Jr., in response to these comments made by his wife, George Kambosos Jr., he comes out and he says, you do know my wife is African, right? She's from Africa. He's essentially trying to lead to that she has a connection with Africans and African Americans and black people, okay? And so obviously that caught traction, and that didn't go over well, okay? And then people started to say, well, just because she's born there or lived there doesn't mean that it's okay to use the language that she's choosing to use, because she's simply not black, okay? And so with that said, George Kambosos Jr. is trying to defend the comments instead of George Kambosos Jr., getting ahead and just saying that it's simply not correct. Okay, I don't care what part of the earth you're from. I don't care what corner of the earth you live in. The language that's being used, this language was used, and these words were used to downplay African American or black people, period. Okay, and it should never be used. And so he's trying to justify her comments by saying that she's an African woman. She's from Africa. Okay. And so with that said, George Kambosos' fan base, he's slowly starting to lose a lot of his fan base, because people are starting to feel like George Kambosos Jr. is simply, his true colors are starting to show, okay? And Devin Haney obviously is an African-American fighter, So George Kambosos, he had this to say. He said, "You guys do know my wife is from Africa, from Algeria, West African, okay? And so, and you guys are talking about a post that was posted 9 years ago, okay? It doesn't matter when this post was posted. It has no qualm on it, because if you think that way in the open, you think that way in private, you are who you are, point blank and period, okay? And, you know, if you don't understand, you know, if you're not aware, then you should educate yourself on language and words being used that people just don't appreciate, okay? Regardless if you feel like it's not offensive to somebody, that's you, okay? Well, you need to educate yourself and learn and understand whom is whom, okay? And what should and shouldn't be said, okay? What offends and what doesn't offend. You should look into that, okay? And clearly he understands that using that word to describe sunbathing is just a no-no. There is no excuse, rhyme, or reason for using that word to sunbathe. It's simply getting a tan, okay? It's simply I'm sunbaked. It's simply I'm getting darker, right? I'm getting bronze, whatever you want to call it. To use the N-word to describe getting dark, you're using a word that's derogatory to describe sunbathing when it's not necessary. So if you use it to describe what something is supposed to be good, okay, then what will you use when you're angry is the question. And so instead of George Kambosos Jr. Trying to defend, okay, now obviously he wants to defend his wife, right? Obviously he wants to, you know, try to clarify, but you're trying to justify, and simply it's just better to just say, it's better simply to just say, this was a mistake. It shouldn't have been used, and we apologize. Period. There is no justification, again, to use the N-word. That's a worldwide word. Worldwide, globally. Everybody knows globally the N-word is a no-no, regardless of who you are, where you are, and how you are. Period. And I'm a firm believer that it shouldn't even be used amongst the African American community or Africans or black people in general. It should not be used from one to the other. Absolutely not. Okay? It's just a word that should not be spoken. Now there's African Americans, there's music that uses this word. There's Latinos here in the East Coast in New York, they use the word towards each other. It still doesn't make it okay. It doesn't justify his wife using the word to describe getting a tan in the sun. There's no justifications on this green earth that justifies her using that word to describe getting a tan, period. Period. Because she was born in Africa doesn't mean that it's okay for her to use the word. It simply doesn't. It doesn't justify her using the word to describe herself sunbathing. Absolutely not. And so the fact that George Kambosos Jr., here's where he went wrong, is because he knows that he liked the picture. He co-signed the caption. And so he's trying to justify it because he too justified it and liked it. So he made it abundantly clear that he doesn't have a problem using the word himself. And that's where the problem comes in. So trying to tell the world that your wife is from Africa and she's born in Africa and this is something that she put out 9 years ago, there's simply no justification for it at all whatsoever. And a simple apology and a simple just say, this is a mistake. However you choose to clarify it, But justifying it is never a good thing. Point blank and period. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.